And we're live. Hello and welcome. It's been a little while since I've done one of these live streams. Today I thought it'd be fun to do a Would You Rather. So drop your questions in the chat on whether, ask me a Would You Rather. Johnny, would you rather? Let's do this. Let's see. Also, in the chat, drop in where you're tuning in from. I'm going to I'm going to be playing some music today. I have a couple of improvs, a couple of songs, a couple of things I've never done in a particular song. I wonder, is that sound coming through? I want to turn off that sound. I don't know how. Hi, Tim. Hi, Lynn from the UK. Brandon. Barbara. Awesome. Good evening in the UK. Awesome. Good to have you guys here. We got quite a nice little group here. I'm gonna figure out how I can turn off the sound effect because I didn't expect this. Do you guys hear a sound effect when someone comments? Let me see if I can turn that off. Awesome. Hi, Diane, Chris, Carol, Bill. I see some regulars on here. Hi, friends. Let's go to, maybe we won't worry about it. You can hear, okay, you can hear the click-a-link, doodle-link. How do we stop that? Help me out. How do we stop this? How do we stop it? How do we stop it? Sounds like we're diving into the water. You're right. It does sound like that. Let me figure this out. Like I said, this is, oh. Ha! I did it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your patience with that. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and, Carol, don't worry about it. I got it taken care of. I'm going to go ahead and play some music. This is an improv. I actually went through my collection of backing tracks and flutes and came up with this. I'll be playing two flutes on this next improv. This is a backing track from the New Age backing tracks that I put out a little while ago. These are in the 440. So the flute that I'm going to be using for this one is my biggest flute in my collection. This is a low E made by Brad Young, made of Spanish cedar, one of my favorite woods of all time. And I'll also be playing this really cool flute that I got at the Solstice Flute School from Suzanne Tang, who is a beautiful musician. She and her husband Gilbert are just amazing people and very talented. This is it's called a suling. It's from Indonesia, and this is in the key of B. There are only 4 playing holes on top. So I have, yeah, that flute is the whole tree. Just about. I have trees smaller than that in my yard, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and crank this up. Remember, drop your questions in the chat. Would you rather? Actually, I'll go ahead and answer one of those right now. I think Brandon from the get-go had this one parked at the top. He's really going to put me on the spot with this one. This is a tough one. Would you rather give up flute playing or teaching flute? Ah, man, that's really, really challenging to answer. I love doing both. I'm very passionate about teaching and playing the flute. Um, don't think bad of me if I answer it this way. I would. Carol says, please don't do either. I know, right? I just love doing both so much. But playing the flute gives me such satisfaction. I have to stick with playing the flute, and I would have to give up teaching because I have to be able to play my flute. That's just a big part of me. The flute is that part of me. So thanks for making it tough, Brandon. Purely hypothetical. I know, it's all good. All right, well, let's turn on some music. And I've got my reverb pedal in here, so here we go. let that one air out a little bit. Oh, so beautiful. All right, I heard a couple of. Oh, let's just take a moment there. I love that combination. I was in here, like I said, pulling this flute, that flute, trying to figure out what I might combine together to put on to play for you guys. And this big giant flute stuck out, and this Sudanese tuning Suling from Suzanne, Sudanese Suling from Suzanne, just came across, and I think I'll put this pairing together for an album. Let me know what you think. Saw a couple of questions there. I'll just come back and get those would you rathers. Great to hear you play again. Thanks, Brandon. Awesome. I thought I saw it in here. Would you rather? Oh, Richard asked, would you rather play outside in nature by yourself or in front of a large venue? Very opposite things. You guys are asking me very opposite things. I guess that's the point of would you rather. Would you rather play in nature by yourself or in front of a large venue? I get a lot of energy from playing in a large venue with a lot of people, just being able to, have that energy, play that energy. Earlier, or the summer, I got to play for 14,000 people in an arena, and there's just so much energy there. But there's something so special about just being by yourself, just having some me time and being able to play my flute. That to me, again, I think is more special than being in front of thousands of people sharing music. I love sharing music, but again, it goes back to what's the foundation, what's the root of all of this? And for me, it's playing my flute on my own, here, out in the woods, wherever I am. A couple other questions in here. What's the best way to add reverb in order to have the best quality sound? If doing it live, the way that I have it set up and routed right now, I have a condenser microphone going through a reverb pedal, which I can turn off or on with my foot, and it's going right into my interface, which goes right into my computer. I have some resources about this if you're interested. I have on my website, you can download a free recording guide. That also works for if you're doing stuff like live streaming or playing into an amp. So I guess I can add that later in the description. I know there's a thing down there for 15 mistakes, a free guide for you on 15 mistakes that I see a lot of flute players that have come across making. All right, shall we move on? I have a couple other songs that I want to share with you. We just got out of a pause this. Just got out of a Q&A session on Horizons Plus for multi-chambered flutes. We launched a multi-chambered flutes course a few months back, and this was a checkup for members of Horizons Plus. If you don't know what Horizons Plus is, it is my teaching platform. It is a monthly subscription or yearly. You can choose which way. And we offer lots of resources, courses, Q&A sessions. We're adding flute circles. We're adding workshops into that as well. So I'll be sure to put that link in the description below. Brandon says he's signing up in December. And Brandon, speaking of that, you actually put in a request. This is my sheet. I made a set list. That's another one of those things inside Horizons, a lesson module on making a set list. So I followed my own rules. I have my set list here. Brandon asked for Masked Ibis. This is from an album released in 2019, Migration. And today I'm going to do something a little different with this. Again, I'm going through my flute collection and just picking up what would happen if. That's something I've been encouraging students lately is what would happen if? What would happen if I played this flute instead of that flute? What would happen if I played this backing track or this flute? So one of those is I'm going to start the song like I normally do. I'll be playing it on a high D flute. This is not the one that I recorded the song with, but it is one that I have in my collection. This is made by Rick Spitzer of Rain Spirit Flutes. The part that I'm going to add that is not in the recording, typically I have a transverse flute, a Persian transverse flute that I play. Part of the reason I chose not to is I have very chapped lips right now, and that's not really good for playing transverse flutes. So I'm going to play my Mayan harmony flute. Today's discussion on Horizons Plus led me down this road, and I was like, hey, I wonder what would happen if I added this flute instead. So you'll hear this one come in about halfway through this next song. Let's roll. This one is called Masked Ibis and comes from Migration. Here we go. first time I've done that. Actually, it's not the first time. It's the first time that I've done it live. I've rehearsed it a little bit before this. Awesome. I'm glad you guys like that. The addition of the Mayan harmony flute. I love the Mayan harmony drone flutes. It's just something real magical. That one is made by Brad Young. If I didn't mention that already, I have several from him. Saw a couple of would you rathers in here. Denise asks, would you rather play strictly improv or your music and covers if you had to stick with just one form forever? You guys are really throwing some strict conditions down. I love it. I'm going to go with improv. Improv is how I create music. And so, in fairness, like if I could improv and remember what I did, or just improv and forget what I did, and then each time is different. I guess that's what a true improv is. I would go with improv because I like creating in the moment. I like to tell my students that improvising is creating a song in the moment. So we can be creative with our improvs, and we're actually songwriting in action. So I'm going to stick with that. Let's see, what else? Tim, rehearsing all my Christmas songs now. Don't know any Thanksgiving songs. Of course, all of our songs are of Thanksgiving. Bingo. Got to have that attitude of gratitude. Love it. Nita asks, is that the bamboo flute? When will you have more high E in stock? We're all out of the high E. They're real popular. Ray does an awesome job with those. I've got him working on a special project right now, so it may be some time before we have those little high E bamboo flutes in stock, but we have something coming for Jolly Days that is of Ray Wood Island Flutes make. I don't want to spill the beans on that because it's something really special. This year marks my 20th anniversary of playing the flute, and I won't say any more about that. I don't want to spoil it. Diane asks, would you rather, I need sound effects. Would you rather begin writing a song with a melody in mind or the backing track in mind first? This is a really good question. I have written songs both ways. I have created a backing track first and then a little melody, which is actually what Masked Ibis, what we just heard. That's how that one originated. I was just toying around with some sounds and textures, and then I added the flute to it. Usually, the flute part comes first, but a lot of my work is actually composed on a piano because I can control the melody, the chords, the rhythm, the time, all of those things in one. I'm not a pianist, but I love playing the piano. Side note, I took piano lessons when I was in second grade. I lasted all of a couple of weeks, and my music teacher was like, you're not good at this. You should probably do sports or academics or something. So I just didn't have the right instrument. That's what I like to believe. We all have music in us. We just have to find the right vehicle, the right instrument to let it out. So Diane, to answer your question, would you rather begin writing a song with a melody in mind first or the backing track in mind first? I'm going to go with melody. Melody is a strong thing. I really lean on melodies, getting that hook. Congratulations, by the way, Diane. You are just blowing it out of the park. Hello on the other side of town. I see you popping up all over my news feed. So congratulations on all your hard work. It's really paying off. All right, let's see. All right, Carol says, cool, hashtag, just one more. Eve says, is that a Michael Graham Allen Remblown flute I see behind you? Could you also play it? I have 4 of his wonderful flutes. Michael Graham Allen Remblown flute behind me, looking at my screen. I don't know which one it is. I do have a John Norris Remblown flute. Let me grab it. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and play the next song that I wanted to do, and I'll include this one. This is from John Norris. I've had this flute for, oh, thank goodness he put the date on it. 10 years, 2012. This is a Mojave tuned, I forget what he's calling these, desert tunings, I think. Like the Sudanese flute that I played earlier, this only has 4 holes on it. So I'll cue up this next one. This comes by request. I'll do a little interesting thing here. And lip balm really helps when it comes to rim blown and transverse flute play, especially in the wintertime. So I'll do a little riff on a song. This one comes by request from Andy Miller. She asked, hey, could you play Ancient Winds from your Winds of Change album? And I commented back, I'm like, I got to remember what flute I used for that one. I can't remember. And funny thing, look at this. So we'll do both of these. These are both by John Norris. They have a very similar design. This is a native style flute, but looks like a shakuhachi with these little flarings that he tools. Also 4 holes, but 1 in the back. And I'm going to do something interesting with this flute. Just watch. I want you to see what I do and let me know in the chat if you can tell what I'm doing. So I'm actually going to turn on an ambient pad for this one because it helps fill the space. So this will be kind of an adaptation on Ancient Winds from Winds of Change. I don't know why I can't remember that name. Here we go. Let's play some music. I see some questions in there. I'll get to them in a second. Okay, I started to play and the sun came out. I have my windows open. Today in Iowa, which is where I'm at, is started out in the teens, warmed up a little bit into the 20s, a little bit of snow this morning. Welcome to November in the Midwest. So this flute is an Akibono tuning. It is native style just by the design, but the scale is not like our regular modern native style flutes. Again, thumb hole in the back here. And yeah, Tim, you picked up on that beautifully. What I did was I choked the end of the bore and I dropped it a half step. Can't plug it up all the way. Well, my finger can't anyway. So that's one way. You can even do that with your other flutes, your native style flutes. I have some where I'll be playing and then I'll just kind of put the end of the flute on my leg, lean into it, and it'll just choke it down a half step. And it's really beautiful because then you get the da da, and it's really satisfying in music when you can go below the fundamental and return. Little teaching moment there. Thank you. And then yeah, this guy, rim-blown flute. This one is quite different. So Mojave flute. Let me go back and scroll through the comments here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I have lots of content on YouTube, and as we break into the new year, I can't believe we're saying that even. What happened to 2022? What happened to 2021? What happened to 2020? Last thing I remember, I was out touring and doing shows and stuff, and now we're here. Anyway. Yeah, we have lots of content planned for YouTube, so please consider subscribing here. It's totally free, helps me get into the best rhythm of all, which is the algorithm of YouTube, and it's really helpful to help me grow my channel and my footprint. Philip, hello from New York City. Do you know of any flute circles in New York? Would be great to play around with other people. I'm not familiar with ones. I know there are some in New York. I have some flute students in New York and around New York. I just don't know. The flute circle landscape has changed post-COVID. Some flute circles dissolved. Went online. There's new things. The World Flute Society is a great organization to check out for that. They have a listing of flute circles there. They do a pretty good job. And High Spirits also has some information, or at least they did. Haven't checked on that recently. Lee, hi Lee. Lee asks, would you rather play a song you don't know on a flute you know well, or a song you know well on a flute you haven't played before? That's a great question. I've actually had some experience with this in both regards. I have, like with doing cover songs and things like that, I lean on my ear. So I don't know the song yet, so I have to pick it out on flutes that I know very well. I have lots of flutes in my collection, but I have a few that I really lean on a lot. I know them intimately. There's probably about 20 of them in my collection that are kind of my go-tos, different keys, of course. And so they really help me find the right note that I'm looking for, and I know where that's at. So play a song that I know well on a flute that I haven't played before. Back when we used to have like festivals and stuff, we try out flutes. That was always a great time. I would oftentimes get a request to play a certain song on a flute that I didn't bring with me. So I'm like running over to the vendors and saying, hey, do you have a XYZ flute or something? And I've never played that flute before, but I know their work. And so I'm like, can I borrow this flute for my song? And sometimes, usually it works out great. Sometimes there's like, oh, and so as I'm playing this, I realize like that fingering doesn't quite work, usually a high note or a cross finger note. So I'm like, it sounded a little sharp that time or a little flat that time. So when I go back through it, when that part comes back up in the song, I'm like, modify time. I got to tweak this. And that also happens when I'm performing live in a warm climate, cold climate, humid. You know, these are wooden instruments. They change a little bit. So we've got to be adaptable too. So knowing your flute. So to answer your question, I would rather play a song I don't know on a flute that I know very well. Sylvia asked, Johnny, can you improvise the same thing twice? Yes, but will you remember it the same way twice? Improvise, yeah, you know, there's some things that I think we all kind of get. We have at our disposal that we kind of lean on. It becomes our what's known as our style. It's a run of notes, like saxophone, jazz saxophones have it. They do their thing. I have my own little signature moves and things like that. So it's easy to repeat those things because they're a natural part of our style. So all good. All right, key. Both of those both of those flutes that I played were in the key of A. I was playing an A minor ambient track. Those are also available on my website. We have them both in minor and major keys in all 12 keys. So no matter what key flute you have in your collection, there's something there that will fit. Philip, how different rim blowing versus shakuhachi? So actually this flute is, John made this flute with the head of a shakuhachi. I know it's kind of hard to see on this thing. But this plays, the embouchure work would be a lot like the shakuhachi. There are other rim-blown flutes that maybe don't have as pronounced notch right here. Also, Kanas have a deeper notch in them as well. They're a little easier to play for that. I remember back in the day, we had, like, Butch Hall made, I forget what he called it. It's a rim-blown flute, and Michael Graham Allen too, like the Hopi style flutes, where there was like no notch at all, and the running joke was you had to Hopi, you had your feet right in order to get the note, and so some of those rim-blown flutes are a little more challenging. Add a course on rim-blown and exotic flutes. Yeah, I got that in the hopper. I will be adding that to Horizons. Sure. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you. Good question. Teresa. If you take along only one, I love this question. Teresa asks, beautiful song on the bamboo flute. If you could take along one flute, which key or flute would you choose? This is the hardest thing to answer. You guys have great questions. Thank you. I have a couple of favorite keys. A is one of my most... Oh, it's snowing again. Great. Not a fan of winter. I grew up in Florida. Been here for 10 years. My favorite key is A. I really like the key of A and D. Those are two of my favorite keys, and F sharp. So I guess I have three favorite keys. If I could pick one flute, I have a D minor flute from George Dyson that I just really love. I play What a Wonderful World on it, played Landslide on it. Those are all videos here on YouTube. I've recorded lots of songs with that flute. I love it. I love the mellow tone of D when I get emails from people from YouTube land and other places. They often like send me a video of someone playing an E or a D flute, and they're like, hey, I want to get a flute like this. What I recommend, though, is to start a little smaller, depending on the size of your hands. You know, if you're a petite woman or you have petite hands, best to start a little smaller and then work with, it's like doing hand yoga. You know, you're going to be able to eventually maybe play a tree like this. So I would pick that flute if I was to suddenly go to a deserted island and could only take one flute with me. That would be the one. Wood or bamboo. So this one was, actually this one's made from sassafras, looks like bamboo, but made from sassafras. And the other one, the Akibono flute, the smaller A flute, I believe is made from mahogany. Something like that. I think John makes quite a few on that. Any advice on repairing a native flute that doesn't play? There is a great resource for you on Facebook. There's a flute, Native American flute making forum, Native Flute making forums, something like that. A lot of professional and hobbyist flute makers. That would be a place that I would check out if you're having some questions about the making of your flute. All right, let's see. Do you sell that Mayan drone flute that you play? That is my flute. I will not sell that flute. But if you're looking for a flute like that, a couple of folks to keep in mind. Miguel Medina, Singing Tree Flutes. Brad Young, which is where I got that one. I have 3 of his flutes, 4 wind flutes. He's kind of semi-retiring in flute making, so he may or may not be able to take on any projects, just so you know. Who's the other one? Oh, what's the guy? I see him on Instagram all the time. Mind going blank. I'll come back to that. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'll park it for next time. Okay, so I've got a couple other songs I'd like to play for you. Another flute maker you might try is Dustin Selva of Elemental Flutes. He actually sent me a couple of flutes that I need to do a flute review on. But I thought I'd give you a little taste here. So this is a D drone flute made out of walnut. And this one has the plugs on the side, so you can either keep it like this and be a straight drone, or you can unplug them and play them as individual double-sided. So I'll try around someplace. Yeah, Elemental Flutes, Southern Cross Flutes in Australia is another resource for the Mayan flutes. But there's another guy, Martinez. Guillermo Martinez, Quetzalcoatl Music, Guillermo Martinez. He makes a lot of the Maya temple flutes as well. I see him. He's very active on Instagram, so check that out too. All right, so I'm going to dig into this flute. I don't have a backing track for this one. I just want this one to be kind of a clean sound sample for you. Hydrate. Here we go. Ah. Dustin, thank you. Love that flute. That is a beautiful, beautiful flute. And I like that he actually ties these little plugs together. That's helpful because I've lost a few. Fantastic song. It passes as a song. Improv, songwriting in the making. Um, Brandon, thanks. I'll check that out. Thank you guys. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I have one more song planned, so I don't want to keep you on your Saturday where you've got other plans, you've got other things. I didn't plan to live stream this long, but I was just rolling with it. Thank you guys for being here. I have one more song for you, and if you have any would you rather questions, feel free to drop them in there. And if you're interested in, here's the thing, if you're interesting, you are interesting. If you're interested in learning more about drone flutes or improving your flute playing, like I mentioned earlier, Horizons Plus, I have lots of courses out there, and you can certainly purchase those. And we've got some specials coming up with Johnny's Jolly Days, which starts the day after Thanksgiving and runs to the end of the year. But if you're really looking to take a deep dive and get more connection, I know we have several Horizons Plus members here in the chat today. Thank you for being here. And lesson modules, Q&A sessions. Like I said, we're adding flute circles. You get access to all of those courses too, including the multi-chambered flutes course that was recently launched. All of the courses, except for the songbook courses, those are standalone things. So we have lots of resources for you. If you have any questions about how to progress with your flute playing, just feel free to leave a comment in the chat if you're watching this on replay, or you can email us at learning@johnnylipfordmusic.com. No H in my name, by the way. Just wanted to go ahead and clarify that. A couple of would you rathers. Would you rather play hardwood or softwood flutes? Here's the thing. It was interesting. I read an article about well, actually, I won't get into that. The tone doesn't, the wood doesn't really affect the tone in a mid-range flute as much as it does with like a high range, like little flute, or really big flute. That's where we start to see some very distinct characteristic changes in the tone, in my opinion. You may not agree with me on that, and that's fine. But mid-range flutes, the biggest contributing factor in the voice of a flute, which, by the way, guys, when I talk about the voice of the flute, I'm talking about the texture of it, right? So some people are wine connoisseurs and they say, oh, it's dry, it's sweet, it's earthy, it's this, it's that. They use adjectives and adverbs to explain and detail what it's like. I do the same thing with the voice of a flute. So if it's breathy, airy, gnarly, chunky, woodsy, nasally, none of those things are bad things, right? It's just that's the tone that it produces. That's how I identify it. And again, we all have different words in how we explain things. So here's the thing, I would probably go for a semi-hardwood because softer woods, like I love Spanish cedar. It's one of my favorite woods, but any of the cedars are can be very soft, which means flutes that are made from a soft wood end up with more love dings. What are love dings? Ding. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Your flutes get little dents on them. I've got one right here. So it just happens if you travel with your flutes, all those things. A harder wood is going to be more tough. I dropped a flute off of my rack this morning, and it got a love ding. So it happens, folks. All right. What's some other questions? I know there was another one in here. Where'd it go? I'm glad that these comments on my screen are really big and I can read them really well. I used to play for about 2 or 3 years and then all out of the blue just stopped. Haven't been feeling getting back into that heavy again. Awesome. Wonderful. Thanks for being here. Still have one more song. Did you say the courses are included in Horizons, like the 7-day jumpstart and embellishments and the drone course? Okay, so the 7-day jumpstart is another one of those standalone things. It's not in Horizons Plus. The embellishments course, multi-chambered flutes, beginning your journey, creating harmonious flow, which is one of my more extensive courses, perfecting high and odd notes, uh, getting unstuck. All those courses are included in the Horizons membership. So right now, starting January 1st, there will be a price increase, but I want to be very clear about this. If you are a current member of Horizons Plus or you enroll in Horizons Plus before January 1st, your rate will not increase. You will renew monthly or annually at your current rate, whatever you get locked into right now. If you enroll in Horizons Plus and a few months down the road you drop out and you want to come back in, you're going to be at the new rate. We've added so much value that there's hours and hours and hours of tutorials, group sessions, all of that inside Horizons Plus. So the horizonsfluteschool.com is where you need to go if you're interested in that. So what's not included in Horizons Plus is the 7-day jumpstart, but it's only $7. And the 2 songbooks, Songbook 1, Songbook 2. Those courses for those are not included in Horizons Plus. Everything else is. Live Q&A sessions, lesson modules, flute circles coming January. Workshops will be included. We're going to do one of those a month, bring in a guest artist, a guest teacher for that. That's going to be included with Horizons. I don't want today to be an infomercial about Horizons Plus. There will be lots of information coming here on YouTube. My newsletter, if you're not on my newsletter already, every Sunday morning I send out a newsletter. Here's what's going on in my life. And we send out some specials when we have them, updates on flutes in stock and accessories in stock, things like that. So, all right. Tim, yes, thank you. Please support Jonny. We do need him with us. I appreciate that. Thank you. What is a good starter flute? Butch Hall Little Horse A minor flute. I actually packaged that together with the Beginning Your Journey course. You get a flute bag with it. That's on my website. It's I believe, the best place to start. It's a great flute, right under $100. Great place. Denise, thank you. Appreciate that. Peter Church's epoxy flute and bass E. Will you have a bass D in epoxy? Chris, no, Peter is semi-retiring. I actually brought Peter out of semi-retirement to build flutes, and we did lots of different products and flutes. But he says, Jonny, I'm getting tired. I want to slow down a little bit. So the fusion flutes, the journey flutes, those we're kind of discontinuing. Peter's still going to make flutes, so if you want something, it's best to just reach out to him. Horizons Plus, can I stop a month and then subscribe again for the same discounted price? Not after the first. We have a couple of options. Again, you can enroll monthly. It's $29 a month right now. If you're watching this after the first, it's gone up. But we have 3 options right now in November 2022 and December 2022. Monthly at $29 a month. We have a 6-month package for $149, and that renews every 6 months at $149. And then a yearly plan at $299, and that renews every year at $299. If you cancel your membership after January 1st and you want to come back in, you'll be at the new rate. I can't grandfather you in. It would be unfair. We've been very clear about that. Okay, let me... I have that flute. What's the next one you would recommend? Shoot me an email. This can get lengthy. But also decide on what key you are drawn to. Let me play some music for you guys. Let's go with, this is a flute made by Roger McGee. I got from Brian. Brian sent me a few flutes in a box. Thank you again. Some will be used to fundraise for Sweetgrass, the nonprofit foundation that we started as a flute school and flute festival in 2015. It's now transitioning into a foundation. More on that to come. But this one stuck out to me and belonged in my collection. This one's made by Roger McGee. It's in the key of A sharp or B flat. The song that I'd like to play for you comes from, this one comes from A Breeze at 72 Degrees. This one is called, let me get my window out of the way. This one is called Beyond the Sea. There it is. This one is included in songbook number 1, which, by the way, we sold out. And I have more of them coming in a few days. They will be here. So the print version is sold out. Digital version is still available. Okay. You guys want to hear some more music? Let's do it. This one is called Beyond the Sea. right. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Yes. All right. Deb, thank you, Johnny from Ames, Iowa. Hi, neighbor. Getting ready to watch some football. It is football day, isn't it? Iowans love football. Something about it. Well, Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for all the questions. I appreciate all the camaraderie here too. Thanks for jumping in the chat and helping answer some questions for those that are here. It's been fun to share music and to do this. If you'd like for me to do this more, I will certainly do that. So just let me know in the chat if you'd like to see more of this. Remember, sign up for my newsletter. I send you a note every Sunday morning. My bulldog's laying at my feet. I'm sipping some coffee. This morning on social media, I chose the Stitch mug. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and all those other places, please do so. I'll come back later and drop some links of the things that we talked about, if I can remember all of the things we talked about. And I will put those in the description below. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see how this live stream kicks off. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you being here today. Enjoy wherever you are. Get your flutes out and play them today. If you don't have a flute, email me. Email me and I will get you hooked up. Everyone needs a flute in their life and in their hands, and you can be musical. Thanks so much, friends. Till next time.